Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I am Anand Narsimhan, and we join you with something which is quite explosive. An analyst, someone who's spent his career understanding China and specializes in China studies, has made a few startling observations and drawn a few parallels and conclusions based on circumstantial evidence. Now, in the wake of Operation Sindoor, more and more details are emerging of a possible Chinese hand in the planning, arming and intelligence operations of the terrorists. So, China hand in glove with Pakistan and looking the other way whenever Pakistan foments terror on Bharatiya soil, because Pakistan serves some of its own personal ends and meets some of Chinese requirements or matters that serve specific Chinese interests. Now, Professor Shrikant Kondapalli, a leading Chinese studies or China studies expert at the JNU, has accused China of double standards on the issue of fighting terrorism, highlighting Chinese support to Pakistan during the Pahalgam attack and Operation Sindoor, a possible support. And according to Professor Shrikant Kondapalli, one of the Pahalgam attackers was carrying a Huawei phone with a Chinese satellite connection. Pahalgam terrorists maintained contact with handlers using a Chinese satellite connection. Chinese government supplied 120 to 129 satellite images of Pahalgam days before the attack to the Pakistanis. Multiple cross-border terror operations are supported by Chinese arms and intelligence. Pakistani officers in the Western theatre are often deputed to coordinate between China and Rawalpindi, or Beijing and Rawalpindi. Professor Shrikant Kondapalli has also highlighted diplomatic efforts from Pakistan in tandem with the Chinese to water down the role of the TRF in the Pahalgam attack on the international stage. This comes as there is a new thaw between Bharat and China since the Galwan flashpoint back in 2020. Now, while China has taken a global stand against terror, the question remains, did the leadership under Xi Jinping give the order to equip the Pahalgam terrorists? Can Bharat still trust China to take on terror emanating from Pakistan? Let's go straight across to the professor himself who joins us here on The Right Stand. Professor Shrikant Kondapalli from the JNU. Professor Shrikant Kondapalli, namaste. Thank you for your time. I quickly want to ask you and elaborate also on some very interesting, startling revelations, observations about Chinese tech being used not just during Operation Sindoor but also during the Pahalgam terror attacks.
Well, I was referring to a few reports that came about soon after the Pahalgam attacks. There is also the NIA investigation that is being carried out in this regard on the terrorists involved in the Pahalgam attacks. So there was a lot of information about this, which indicated that there is some close cooperation between China and Pakistan in this regard in relation to the Pahalgam terror attacks.
Right.
And also the evidence that has been there for the past 10 years or probably even more, where there is the Chinese assistance to the Mujahideen during the counter-Soviet occupation of Afghanistan in 1979 to 89, when the Chinese military intelligence trained the Mujahideen along with the CIA to create the resistance force for the Soviets in Afghanistan. Now, the Soviet Union disintegrated. The Mujahideen splintered into various groups, Al-Qaeda and so on. The East Turkestan Islamic movement in Xinjiang also being trained by the Mujahideen in the Fatah region of Pakistan. And various other events have occurred in between, where you have the whole region flooded with small arms
Right.
and explosives and so on and so forth. Now, the ISAF was present in Afghanistan for several years, and then they left with all this sophisticated equipment dispersed in the society in Pakistan and in Afghanistan. In the light of all of these, the tanzims which are present in Fatah region of Northwest Frontier Province, they have also had some role in China.
Right.
But most crucial is in the Kashmir Valley, where we have seen a number of attacks, killing more than 70,000 people in all during that time.
Right.
Now, the Chinese have disassociated with some of these tanzims because of their support to the Uyghurs in Xinjiang, to the East Turkestan Islamic movement. However, it took the turn of some kind of an arrangement with the Pakistani ISI that if these terrorists who are supporting ETIM, East Turkestan Islamic movement, if these are handed over to China, China had a Nelson's eye towards the other terror incidents created by these organizations.
So Professor Shrikant Kotapalli, if I may interrupt you there, pardon me, do you have reason to believe that the Pakistanis and their jihadis are not just using Chinese equipment, but the PLA and the Chinese have active knowledge of these terrorist activities on Bharatiya soil? So they are aware of what's being planned or what's being executed. Is that what your surmise is?
That would be more classified, and that would be only between Pakistan and China. We do not know. What I was trying to say is there is a circumstantial evidence to suggest that, number one, China was shielding Pakistan in the 1267 committee on Zakirul Rahman, Masood Azhar, or other terrorists based in Pakistan. Every year, Indian officials were providing massive dossiers in relation to these terrorists involved in the violence in Kashmir Valley. However, the Chinese representatives at the 1267 committee would say that there is not enough evidence, and then the file is kept. The Indian file with so much of evidence on these terrorists based in Pakistan is kept aside. And after 9 months, if there is no action in that regard, the 1267 committee drops that proposal on proscribing the terrorist organizations based in Pakistan. So for 10 years, China has been dodging. And then finally, in 2020, when the United States, France, Russia, and UK exerted pressure on the Chinese, it was only then, after nearly 10 years, China accepted that Masood Azhar, Zakirul Rahman, or other terrorists based in Pakistan indeed have a terror track record. So it took nearly 10 years for India to convince the international community that there is substantial evidence pinpointed to the terrorists based in Pakistan, while China had been showing a Nelson's eye in this regard. So I was suggesting to a circumstantial evidence in this regard. Secondly, the NIA had also been investigating this case, and some reports have come soon after the Pahalgam attacks that one of the terrorists was carrying a Chinese-made mobile phone which has facility to communicate cross-border into Pakistan, and he was sending messages. Now, satellite connections cannot be given, and China is very particular in terms of what goes and what gets in.
Gets in.
And hence, there is again a circumstantial evidence here of the Chinese involvement, even though they have been suggesting and they are condemning terrorism in all forms. But when it came to this specific incident, they have been very silent. It suggests again to the circumstantial evidence. A third is that before Pahalgam attacks took place, this area was scanned extensively.
Yes.
And Pakistan received the satellite pictures
Yes.
of this area. And this also suggests to, once again, the Chinese connection.
But Professor Kondapalli, that these forces were surprised with the level of Chinese involvement during Operation Sindoor is on record. But you're saying it goes back even to Pahalgam and maybe other instances of proxy war or cross-border terrorism. What serves the PLA's interest here? Why would the PLA look the other way? And how does it help the PLA's cause?
Well, the Chinese have evolved all-weather friendship with Pakistan since March 1963, where they started building a road from Kashgar to Islamabad and to Karachi and other areas. This is called the all-weather road, and the relations also became all-weather friendship. As a part of this, the Chinese have been balancing India through Pakistan through the 1965 conflict, 71 conflict, the Kargil, and recently during the Operation Sindoor, the India-Pakistan conflict. So in other words, a weakening of India either through terror attacks or through irrational attacks by Pakistan, as seen during the recent conflict, as well as with the other conflicts. This basically serves the Chinese interest in diverting the Indian attention from economic development and providing security for all to that of India-Pakistan conflict, where China would be much more freer in addressing its influence in other parts of the world, including in South Asia, Southeast Asia, Central Asia, and other regions of Asia. So this is a long-standing strategy of China to weaken India, to also divert India's precious resources to the jihadi elements in Pakistan.
Very strong observations and perhaps very convincing argument that you make, Professor Shrikant Kondapalli. Thank you very much for your time. I'm going to take this forward with